Hello everyone, and welcome back to my inner anchor. I'm Lee Graham, as you guys all know, and today is a bit of a special one as we close season 1. So let's take a bit of a breath together, wherever you are, whether you're walking, driving, sitting with a coffee, lying in bed. Just let your shoulders slightly drop, soften the jaw, let the breath settle, and find your natural rhythm. Because this episode, this moment, is very much a return. 14 weeks ago, when I started off on this podcast journey, we stepped into this space together. I was looking for an outlet. This podcast has very much helped me, as much as I hope it has helped yourselves. We went through the story of why I've been doing this, but I wanted to share that, and I wanted to share this for anyone looking for grounding, anyone looking for steadiness, for honesty, maybe looking for something a bit more real. And I want to say this clearly, like, this podcast has helped me. It's helped me stay connected with myself, it's helped me stay honest, it's helped me stay anchored through moments where I could have easily drifted. You guys have held me accountable. Every week I've had to come on and be honest, and as I've said before, the inner anchor and this podcast series in general has never been about being perfect and being zen. It's about being present and being real and being true. And I hope it's helped you too. I hope it's given you language for things you didn't know how to express maybe before. I hope it's given you tools for moments you didn't know how to navigate. I hope it's given you a space where you felt seen, felt steady, felt heard, and felt human. Across these 14 episodes, and I really can't believe that it's already 14 episodes that we have been going through together. And if you are coming later into the journey, please don't go back. Feel free to go back to the beginning and catch up on any episodes you may have missed, because I'm not so egotistical that I think that everyone will have started at episode 1 and go all the way through. But it's been a hell of a journey, guys, and I don't quite know how we've got here. Obviously, with the first episode, it was a kind of overall my story, the inner anchor, how I came to be here, the terminology that I was going to use between the inner anchor and finding my still point, which kind of led to episode 2, which was all about the still point and accessing that, and all those things that lead you back to your inner anchor and cutting out the noise of life, which led into episode 3 of the noise of life, softening that noise. In episode 4 we dealt with anxiety and overwhelm, and episode 5 went a little bit deeper into the philosophy, a bit more of the inner anchor and where it came from and how I found it helping me, and the what it was, that my personal reconnection with it, how I continue to reconnect with things, meditation, all those kind of bits and pieces. Episodes 6, 7 and 8 we kind of explored the more male dominated side, I guess, but as I say, that wasn't just an episode for men, it was for masculinity in general. It was for everyone, because however you show up affects everyone in your life, right? So episode 6 was very much dealing with the kind of opposite of what's going on in the maniverse, which is actually rubbish, as we've been through before on this show, right guys? So episode 6 was about masculinity, vulnerability and being human, the pressures to be strong, what vulnerability actually looks like, how grounding supports emotional honesty. Then episode 7 we spoke about brotherhood over banter, reclaiming those man's worlds and man up and all those kind of things, and real, true, genuine masculine relationships and healthy male connection. Episode 8 went over presence over perfection, and being present rather than trying to live up to this fake internet world, as it were. And then episode 9 we was our very first guest on the My Inner Anchor podcast. We spoke to Joanna Graham, aka Little Jo Art. We spoke about her well-being journey, how she grounds herself, what she believes to be her attributes with art, and how she wants to showcase everything that she's been through, how she wants to help others with her art, and how that has started to take shape, being authentic and broadening those conversations. Obviously Jo is also my wife, so we spoke about a little bit about my journey and how she's helped me and support me in that as well in that episode. And I would like to get some more guests on in series 2, so if you think there's anyone out there that I should be talking to, anyone you'd like to see, do let me know. But with Jo, being my wife, with her being there throughout my journey and throughout her own journey as well, I couldn't not have her as the very first guest. So it was a very special episode 9 for me. We then, in episode 10, spoke about anger being an energy, because that's very much something being on my base level of emotion, and I think we spoke about the fact that I'm definitely not the only person who feels like that. But we talk about how anger isn't the issue, but suppressed anger is, and about dealing with anger and misuse of anger, how to channel it, why it's here, all the bridges between reframing the issue, reframing anger as a signal, all those kind of things, and how we can process it. We then went into a few processing tools, going through both journaling for clarity, which is something I think I said before, when I first started it, I didn't really feel like that was something that would in any way make a difference, but it has been an absolute tool and an asset to me personally. We went through journaling prompts and why journaling works. We then went into another grounding technique for me, which was breath work, and we're going through some exercises for that. On that note, you will of course seen that I have teased the side or bonus episodes of this, which will be the breathwork audio sessions, which will be coming out shortly now that the main podcast has been stepped to now this is the last episode of this season, so we'll be talking more about breathwork in those. Then we, and of course last week, spoke about feeling lost, and now we return. So today, it's not really about learning anything new. It's about remembering everything that we've found, and hopefully everything that you found across these last 14 episodes. It's about coming back to the anchor that we've had with us quietly, week by week, and this finale is a return to that anchor and a turn to where we are together. So once again, I just want to thank you all for being with me the last 14 weeks. I've had such a positive reaction to this episode. What I've spoken about, people seem to have taken to it. I've had very nice messages. I'm not going to repeat those because they're personal, of people having been through similar things or having a similar response to what I had, and they just wanted to reach out and to share their stories, which is always nice. It's nice when people trust you with that. I have had a few people mention that they would like to come on for shows, so expect to see them in the upcoming season. We'll take a couple of weeks off while we plan that, and we'll be back. Don't you worry about that. But there will be more from the Inner Anchor in general over the next few weeks. I don't think we're leaving you. And as I say, if you have missed an episode or you just want to revisit it, it's always there. This is what I wanted to do with it, was to create space for everyone, so anyone can access it anytime. That's what it's all been about, and a celebration today, a remembering, a grounding, and a celebration of everything we walked through together these last 14 weeks. Obviously, as like I said, we're talking about the philosophy and what it means to live anchored. You know, living anchored isn't a one-off technique. It's not performance. It's not a pill or a download of any description. It's a way of meeting life. It's a way of meeting yourself, and a way of staying connected to the parts of us that don't move, even when everything else does. You know, sometimes we can drift, as we've spoken about in previous episodes, and the sort of anchor philosophy, for want of a better term, rests on three very important pillars. One being presence, you know, choosing to meet life as it is. You know, presence is honesty, it's courage, staying in the moment. It's saying, this is what's here, this is what's real, this is what we're feeling, and we're going to meet it. You know, it's very much the opposite of trying to escape, it's facing it. One of the other pillars, of course, is honesty. With ourselves first, and then with others. You know, it's kind of been the backbone of the anchor. You know, honesty saying, it's allowing yourself to say that I'm overwhelmed, I'm angry, I'm scared, I'm disconnected, I'm hurt, I need something different, I need something else. What do I need right now in this moment? And being honest is the moment you stop performing, the moment you stop hiding behind a screen, the moment you stop carrying everything alone. And honesty is a huge part of the anchor, and it keeps us from drifting into someone else's expectations. The only person's expectations you should be aiming for are your own. Hold yourself accountable. Do what's right, do what's wrong. You know all those things. We're taught those. We know what's right, we know what's wrong, but we also know what's right and wrong for us. And I feel it's very, very important to stay to that. And if, like me, you haven't always stayed to your 100% authentic true self in terms of trying to do what's right by other people, and if you're starting to do that now, you might be thinking, well, yeah, but I got this reaction, or so and so said this, or maybe even someone walked away from you for a little bit. It might happen. But if they really love you and they really value you, they'll meet you halfway. That's not to say that I'm 100% right and everybody should see me on my terms. That's not what it's about. But it's about respect. And it's about, if you show up honestly and you're in the moment, then no one can deny your feelings. No one can tell you how you should act based on those feelings. It's the honesty of all of those things. But please, always only live by your own expectations of yourself. And the final pillar is return. The act of coming back to your still point, coming back to the inner anchor. It's really very much at the heart, like the other two pillars. You know, I mentioned drifting earlier. Obviously, returning is coming back to yourself after the drifting, after the stress, after the overwhelm, the anger, the fear, the distraction. The moment you can say, right, I'm coming back. It's simple, it's quiet, it's steady. Return is remembering who we are beneath all the noise. And I wanted to take a moment to look back, not as a list as I mentioned earlier, so we went through the episode titles and a bit of an overview, but as a lived experience on what we've learned in season 1, hopefully. And I hope you've got all this out of it, and it's something you'd like to explore more, then please do so. But you know, together we've been through how to breathe when life feels loud, how to sit with anger instead of letting it run the show, how to soften the armour that we've been carrying for years, how to find clarity in the middle of the chaos, how to listen to our bodies instead of trying to override them, how to return to ourselves when we drift, How to meet masculinity with honesty instead of pressure. How to be human, fully, honestly, and imperfectly. We've learned how to ground, how to pause, how to feel, how to stay in the moment, how to come back to it. And maybe you didn't realise it until now. But you will have changed over the 14 weeks, because we do as people, with or without taking anything on board. Though, so I'm not going to say I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But I know I've changed in the last 14 weeks. Something in all of us, I think, will have done the same. Will have shifted, softened, strengthened, anchored. This series, it wasn't about information. It was about creating a space where I could be honest about what I've been through, my own experiences, the last 2 years of going through the counselling, the CBT, the self-work, the work I continue to do to try and continue to be a better person, and opening up that space for others to join me. It's about walking together. It's about being open. I've had a lot of conversations with friends who we have had similar conversations before I started the podcast, but they've been kind enough to listen, and honest enough and present enough to give me their views. And it's really good. It's really cool. I love it when people do that. So if you'd like to talk, please, you can always drop me a message on the socials or email findyourinneranchor@gmail.com. But we've walked through all of this together these last 14 weeks. And now it's about carrying it forward into real life. And there are 3 anchor practices that every one of you can take with you. You don't need to do them every day. You don't certainly need to do all 3 of them every day. But these tools are there to help you, to support you, and to give you something in your arsenal to return to self, return to anchor. There's the daily return. 60 seconds is all you need for this. You can do it whenever you like, morning, night time, whenever you remember. Just a simple 60 seconds. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your breath, bring it back to your natural rhythm. Feel yourself in your body, feel your soul in your body. And just breathe and bring yourself back to self. Just note that you are returning to yourself. Just breathe for as long as you need. But 60 seconds should do it. Focus on your breathing. Anything in your mind, you don't need to deal with it at that point. Just let it pass. And feel yourself in that moment. I find the daily return very, very useful when those moments are of complete overwhelm and everything might have kicked off somewhere and it's all gone a bit manic and you just need to get yourself back in the room, as I call it. So don't forget to do those. There's also the honesty check-in. What's true for us right now. Just ask yourself what's true for us right now. Not what you should feel, not what we wish it felt like, not what you think others expect, but what's true. Remember, honesty is grounding, and verbalizing it, even if you're saying it to yourself, really does make it real. It lands it. It gets it out of your head. It stops it being so consuming because you've put it out into the universe and you've been honest. And it's not about blame or pointing fingers. But if something has made you feel a certain way, that is undeniable. And no one should ever deny your feelings. And then the third tool, of course, is the anchor breath that we've been through before. In through the nose, slow, steady, few minutes, out through the mouth. Breath is their anchor. And if you're listening to this and you want to go back to the anchor breath, that will of course be on the audio series, which will be available from wherever else you're also listening to this. And I hope wherever you've found the podcast and found myself, I hope it's done you a lot of good. I really do. When I first had the idea for this 14 weeks ago since we had it, so it was probably about 15, 16 weeks ago that I seriously started planning it, but I've been wanting to do it for so much longer than that. But I never felt like I had the right to do so, that I wasn't valid in wanting to share my story, that no one would be interested, that it wasn't relevant to anyone else, that it was my show, my shindig. The truth is my experiences are my own. Very much like to you who are listening, your experiences will be yours. But we can all connect on feelings of disconnection, lost, overwhelm, anxious, stress. Equally, we can all feel connected in terms of trust, honesty, love, truth. So I hope wherever you found us that it has given you some safety and some comfort. I wanted this space to be pure, honest, and that's what it'll always be. It's not always going to be pretty. We've spoken about a lot of things that are still pretty raw in my life right now. From family members' current cancer diagnosis, having to postpone my own festival while I deal with certain things, car accidents. It's all happened in the last 14 weeks. And I thank you for being there and for listening to me. And I really go appreciate it. As I say, this space is not just here for me. It's here for you, anyone who's ever visited. The work that needs doing to ourselves, it's there. And I wanted this to build something real when I started off the Inner Anchor. There is more to come from it. It will go beyond the podcast. I wanted it to be a place to breathe, a place to visit, to feel, to return. And this isn't the end. I didn't know where it was going to go when I started, but I'm very much enjoying the journey. And there's so much more to come from the Inner Anchor. You will see the Anchor Breathwork audio series, three guided breathwork practices that we spoke about in the episode Breathwork. We'll be putting those up so that you can just go straight to those should you need to. And something else that's been working in the background that we'll be launching in the coming weeks is the grounding sessions. I've been asked by a few of you if I would be interested in doing one-to-one sessions. Now I must stress, this isn't counselling. I'm not a qualified counsellor. I'm doing courses we speak on counselling practices for wanting to try and find out more about who I am as a person and where I tick, and trying to support myself more than anything, if I'm honest. And who knows where life takes you one day. But it's not counselling. I've got to stress this, because that is obviously a protected practice. So that's counselling is not what I'm offering. But this is just one-to-one grounding sessions for anyone who might be interested in speaking about their own stories a little deeper, their own truths a little deeper, anything that might be really concerning them. We can go through that, we can talk about whatever it is they wish to. If they want to talk about a particular area of grounding, whether you want to pop on and talk about journaling or meditation or breath work or anything of that nature. If there's any tools that you'd like to talk more about, always happy to do that. But we'll be looking at using those grounding sessions for that. And there'll be more news to come on that very soon. And thank you for those who've already shown an interest, because the fact that I could help someone is amazing. Because one of the reasons I wanted to set up the Inner Anchor and my Inner Anchor podcast was because when I needed the help locally, I didn't think it was there. I was lucky with the CBT therapy and the counselling sessions that they could be done online, but I think I mentioned before, the sort of nearest, although this has changed now for my area, but at the time the closest session group session, like a peer-to-peer support, was over an hour away, and that wasn't practical. So I wanted to create a space where people could talk. So the fact that I've been asked if people, by some people, if I'd be interested in doing some one-to-one stuff is it's pretty grounding. It's pretty well, it's an honour, let's be honest, when someone trusts you in that way, isn't it? It always is. And of course, season 2 of the podcast is already forming shape, but I want you to help me shape it. So if there are areas that you would like me to explore, talk about further, whether it be masculinity, identity, grounding, and connection, purpose, reach out, drop me a message. You need to message me on the socials. If you know me in person, by all means, say it to my face or drop me a message on my personal things. If there's any one out there who doesn't, then like I say, you can message me. You can email findyourinneranchor@gmail.com. Tell me what you want more of. And this space, is something that I wanted to grow with us. So you decide where this goes. I'm here to support and to showcase my experiences and my techniques that help me, that might help you, but I want this to be a space for you all. If there's anyone out there who'd like to come on as a guest, or thinks there's a guest in particular that might be interested, then again, please do let me know. But listen again whenever you want to. Return to any episode that speaks to you. I know we've gone from episode 1 all the way through to 14, but that doesn't mean you've got to listen to them in that order. If you're having a day where you feel in like the episode that focuses on anger being an energy, but you might be more susceptible to more something that you need to hear again, listen to that. If you're wanting to listen to brotherhood over banter and positive male relationships, listen to that. Want to talk about the still point itself, listen to that. There's the point of this was never to go from A to B to C, because that's not how life works. And I want that to be apparent and for you all to take that home. It's up there and it's for you to use however you wish to. And as often as you'd like to. If you need it once every 6 months or you need it every week, just make sure you're looking out for yourselves. I'm really grateful that you've been here, guys. I'm truly outstanding that you listened. And I'm honoured that you walked this path with me. So again, thank you. Let's take one last grounding breath together though, shall we? Now, get comfy wherever you are, guys. If you're driving, as I always say, and maybe listen to this bit later, take one last grounding breath. In through the nose. Slowly, steady and present. Hold. And now out through your mouth. Soft, long, releasing. Now we just be here. Two minutes. Keep your breath at that pace that it falls naturally at. You don't need any guidance from me. Just let that breath right as it is and feel your feet on the ground. No breath work, no instructions, just be. Just us, our bodies, our breath, our anger. Just let your breath keep rising and falling at that pace it wants to. Don't try to force it. Don't try to change it. Just let it be. I'm not expecting any of you to sit here cross-legged in white pyjamas, but just be here, be present, focus on your breaths, let your breaths rise and fall, feel your breath, do what it needs to, feel it inflate your lungs, and feel it fall. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Be present, be honest, and return to your breath whenever you need to. As I say, thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for grounding. Thank you for holding me accountable. Thank you for being here. This podcast and doing it has really helped me. I really hope it's helped you. I hope it's helped anyone who's listened. I hope it's given us all a place to breathe, to feel, to return to. Season 1 was the beginning. Now season 2, that's where we go deeper. We'll be back in a few weeks, and there's more to come from the inner anchor. More grounding, more honesty, more presence, more return. So keep in contact with your inner anchor, guys. Return to that still point. Remember you're enough, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care.